Here's the question of the day. Does Disney own Yozora? Well, it's a little more complicated than that. What's up guys, HMK once again, and I want to break down this notion of question when it comes to Kingdom Hearts' latest, greatest, newest, most popular character, Mr. Night Sky, the true king, Yozora himself, and that of the concept of Verum Rex. The question is, does Disney own Verum Rex? Does Disney own Yozora? You know, on surface level, you would think one answer or another, but when it comes to the nitty-gritty of everything, it's a little more complicated than you would think or perceive on surface level, and it boils down to all the research I've done. It could literally be either or. I'm gonna break it down for you guys, so be sure to strap on in and get ready to dive directly into the darkness. So the first matter we have to take care of business when it comes to Kingdom Hearts, Yozora, Verum Rex, all that good jazz, is that Kingdom Hearts is owned by Disney. Everything surrounding Kingdom Hearts is owned by Disney when it comes to Kingdom Hearts original properties that gained life throughout the series. Yes, Disney owns Sora, Disney owns all the characters, everything in between. And the biggest inclinator to that is, of course, when it comes to interviews that a lot of people don't really look at, and it comes to all the copyright that you see at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts games and all of the merchandise. When you see any type of Kingdom Hearts merchandise, you always see Disney Kingdom Hearts, not Disney Square Enix Kingdom Hearts. And of course, when it comes to the opening screen of Kingdom Hearts, you see that big copyright Disney symbol, and everything tied to all original aspects of Kingdom Hearts is owned by Disney. And of course, the movies and references that are within the Kingdom Hearts series, copyright Disney, copyright Pixar. But when it comes to properties, ideas that Disney did not create but own at the time, they make sure to put in that copyright when it comes to things like Tarzan for Kingdom Hearts 1 and overall Winnie the Pooh. Because Disney did not create Winnie the Pooh. They own Winnie the Pooh, but they did not create it. And of course, for visual aid, Kingdom Hearts 3 Play Arts Kai Sora. When it comes to the play arts, the bring arts, the play arts Kai that Square Enix makes when it comes to the figures, the action figures, especially with Kingdom Hearts, the Kingdom Hearts lineup is very, very popular. Even though Square Enix creates them, Disney owns them. You can see that big Disney letter right here, but on the back, you have the copyright Disney, you know, the seal of the mouse right there. It's blurry, but it's right there. So like when it comes to all of those aspects, you know, Kingdom Hearts is developed by Square Enix, but Disney owns them. But when it comes to other aspects within Kingdom Hearts, you know, the Final Fantasy characters and the World Ends With You characters, they are still copyright Square Enix, including that of the music, everything, properties that are tied to that of Final Fantasy or the World Ends With You, even the remixes, they're still owned by Square Enix, as they are Square Enix characters and properties that make an appearance within Kingdom Hearts. So with that being said, Yozora is obviously very Final Fantasy-like, and you know, the cat is out of the bag when it comes to the association of Yozora and Noctis Lucius Kylum from the original aspect of Final Fantasy Versus 13. They look pretty similar, very similar, too similar. Not too similar that it bothers me, but I dig it. So when it comes to that aspect, yes, Yozora gained life through Kingdom Hearts, so you would think that Disney would own Yozora, right? But when it comes to the themes of Yozora, his character, his design, all that, it seems a little too, what's the word? Cool, serious for Disney. You know what I mean? And that really begs the question if people want to consider Yozora as a Final Fantasy character. Is he a Final Fantasy character or not? Obviously, his design came from somewhere. But knowing all that, Yozora can be considered to be a Verum Rex character. And that will have you think, would it be owned by Disney? Does Disney own the concept of Verum Rex and all that? When it comes to the association of Yozora and the Final Fantasy characters, one thing that you have to understand about Final Fantasy characters that appear in Kingdom Hearts, obviously if you haven't been living under a rock, is that these interpretations of the Final Fantasy characters are self-contained within Kingdom Hearts. It's not like they straight up took Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII to put into Kingdom Hearts. No, it's an original interpretation of Cloud Strife that makes an appearance in Kingdom Hearts using his backstory, his original backstory, as a type of base to create a new version that appears within the Kingdom Hearts series. That, along with everyone else, Sephiroth, Yuffie, Aerith, Cid, Leon, who is Squall. And either way, the Final Fantasy characters are not from their original world. Some of them are from Destiny Islands, some of them are from Radiant Garden. So despite these interpretations, they're still owned by Square Enix. And unlike these characters, Yozora has become incredibly important to the overall future and story of Kingdom Hearts. Literally, his association with Sora is too great to ignore when pushing forward into the Kingdom Hearts series. He's a big deal, and he appeared in the Kingdom Hearts 2020 trailer. So the fact that Yozora has too much of a connection to Sora, and the fact that Luke's sword appears in the good ending of the secret episode, those two characters, Sora and Luke's sword, they're owned by Disney. So if Tetsuya Nomura and Square Enix wants to make a Verum Rex game, considering all of that, Disney would have to be involved in that sense to incorporate either Luke's sword or Sora into the mix if they don't own Yozora. But that's the one kicker that really puts this whole thing into a conundrum where, okay, Disney might own Verum Rex, Disney might own Yozora, and why would, Nomura agree to any type of, idea or deal like that? It's simple, because the mouse has Nomura's back. When it comes to Tetsuya Nomura and what he's done with the Kingdom Hearts series, in terms of the original characters and the original story, Disney has given him free reign to do basically whatever he wants with the story. It's literally his playground, Nomura Unleashed. And with that freedom that they're giving Nomura, Nomura probably feels very safe in this work environment in order to create a character, a series under the banner of Disney that he will feel that it reaches its full potential, unlike that of, Versus 13 becoming 15. And of course, Disney and the mouse gives Nomura all the support and freedom because Kingdom Hearts makes money. So that would be a reasoning onto the whole situation if Disney were to own Yozora and Verum Rex. However, something very interesting that makes you look the other way in the other direction is, once again, the opening screen of Kingdom Hearts, of the Kingdom Hearts games, where it states characters from Square Enix games. Copyright Square Enix. Square Enix and the Square Enix logo are registered trademarks or trademarks of Square Enix Holdings Company Ltd. Now, the reason why that is very weird and unsettling when it comes to Yozora's identity or Yozora's ownership is the fact that the Verum Rex game, when you go to, Toy Box and all that stuff, says Square Enix, not Disney Square Enix. It says Square Enix Verum Rex. So, in the interpretation of the world of Kingdom Hearts, within the world of Kingdom Hearts, Verum Rex, a Square Enix video game, and going by what this says in the beginning, and the fact that, it doesn't specifically say, the character design of Yozora was designed by Tetsuya Nomura, but it's owned copyright by Disney. It doesn't say anything like that. It says characters from Square Enix games. And technically, if we look at it in the broadest sense, Verum Rex within the Kingdom Hearts universe is a Square Enix game. So that really makes you wonder if indeed Yozora and Verum Rex are owned by Square Enix. But then that dials back to the association that Verum Rex could have with Kingdom Hearts when it comes to characters like Sora and Luke's sword, which are owned by Disney, and for them to be, very important to the overall story of Verum Rex and indeed Shibuya and Yozora, then that would really suggest the other way. But all in all, a Verum Rex game, if and when it's going to be made, could act as a gateway in order to help shape the identity of more original Disney video game properties, and that of Kingdom Hearts going forward with Phase 2. Verum Rex could literally be a Kingdom Hearts game that tackles a Kingdom Hearts property game that would not be incorporating any type of movies or Disney characters in terms of like the Disney films and properties, whatnot. And it'll be a very interesting challenge in order to help shape the future of Kingdom Hearts, and it could be the shakeup that Kingdom Hearts really needs in order to get wild with its identity, despite of what Kingdom Hearts to be by the end of the Xehanort saga. And hey, they've tackled that a little bit before when it comes to a Kingdom Hearts property that didn't incorporate any Disney characters, you know, Kingdom Hearts Key back cover. Either way, a Verum Rex game with Yozora, featuring Yozora, could well and be a huge shakeup that Kingdom Hearts needs in order to, you know, help identify where it could go if it didn't incorporate Disney, but Disney still owns Kingdom Hearts, and it's not like hanky-panky, like, oh, Kingdom Hearts is gonna kick out Disney, Square Enix is gonna kick out Disney out of Kingdom Hearts and stuff, they don't need them anymore. That's not the case, and I laugh at that notion because Disney owns Kingdom Hearts. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think Disney owns Yozora and Verum Rex, considering that everything I've presented to you, or do you think Square Enix owns Yozora and Verum Rex? Leave what you think in the comment section below. Big thanks to my Patreon supporters for helping making this video happen. And if you want to find out how you can support HMK for just $1 a month, check out my Patreon info in the description box below. If you're unable to, the biggest way you can support HMK is by liking the video and subscribing and sharing it up. Alright guys, until the next dive into the 5th dimension, this has been HMK, and I'll check you guys later.
So you haven't subscribed to HMK yet? Don't piss Xemnas off.